And the point of these 4 chord types is that when you see that, that's a really strong indicator of how you react to the chord. There are rules that come with that chord that will indicate how you behave with it, what you can do with it, or not do with it. Welcome to the channel, or thank you very much for returning if you've been here before. I'm Dan Weiss, creator and owner of MFile Music Theory and Songwriting. We are all about helping you gain control of your creative passion and power so you can become the musician you are supposed to be, making the most impact with your music by creating the music that you hear in your head. Today we're going to be talking about the 4 different types of chords, but before I do, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on that little bell notification so you don't miss my super amazing, ultimate, life-changing content when it comes out. Now, let's get to the video. Boom! Awesome. All right, let's talk about the 4 different types of chords. Got our happy keyboard, happy to be here. It's laid out already to give us some context visually for what I am talking about. There we go. All right, so the first type of chord is a major chord. Now, what consists of a major chord? What makes a chord a major chord? So in the key of C, the basic major chord would be a major triad, 3 notes. You got C, E, and G. Now, the interval between C and E is a major third. So that's 4 semitones up there, if you are keeping track on your piano. Or on your guitar, that'd be, what, 4 frets? So the distance there, that makes it a major third. That's the strong identifier of a major chord, is the 3rd note in the chord is major. So beyond that, there's 3 semitones up to the next note, the 5th. So that makes the semitone pattern of a major chord 4-3. Got 4 semitones to the 3rd and 3 semitones to the 5th. And always remember, it's the 3rd that's going to tell you what kind of chord it is. At least give you a foundation to start with. Oh, good. We get some extra ones. Okay, so a minor chord. Again, we are in the key of C, but starting on D. We've got D, F, and A as our minor triad. And then they disappear. And then, so we've got 3 semitones this time up to the 3rd, which means it's a minor third. Therefore, that tells us it's a minor chord. There's 4 semitones up to the next note, the 5th, which means that the semitone formula for a minor triad is 3-4. If that's what you're remembering this by. So beyond major and minor, I mean, these are chords you've probably heard of and used many, many times. There are 2 separate chord types, or chord groupings, I guess, beyond this. So dominant is an interesting one. And I'll show you why. Because we've got a major triad starting on G, G, B, D. Got that major third there. And it's 4 semitones to the major third, 3 to the 5th. But that's just a major triad, right? Isn't that just a major triad? So what makes a dominant chord? All you need for a major chord is just those 3 notes. Anything else on top of that is kind of extra. For it to be a dominant chord, you have to have a 7th, a dominant 7th chord. So when you see dominant or dominant 7, the 7th is implied if it is a dominant chord. So we throw an F on there because that's the next note in the key of C, and it is the 7th of the G dominant 7 chord. Now this, interestingly enough, is a minor 7th. Oops. If it were to be a major 7, it would be an F sharp. But it isn't a major 7, it's a minor 7. So that's a really important relationship between the B, the major 3rd, and the F, a minor 7th. That is what gives the dominant chord that bizarre tension, instability that needs to be resolved. The fact that G is the 5th of C and B is only a half step away from C. Combine that with that instability created between the B and the F, that weird tritone interval, that gives us a really strong tension salad. So this chord wants to be released and will go to C, and everyone will be happy. So the next grouping has 2 different types of chords in it, but they belong in the same group, and we'll explain. So diminished chords. Diminished chords are kind of weird. They sound very unsettling, and that's for one very specific reason. So oddly enough, we have these notes again, B, D, F. Now there are 3 semitones up to D, which means it is a minor 3rd. But if it were just a minor chord, it would be B, D, F sharp, but it's not. So that 5th is only 3 semitones away, which means it's a minor interval, but you can't, fifth notes, the 5 can't be minor. It's supposed to be stable. It's a very, like, 1 and 5 are the most stable notes that you can have in that chord. So if you mess with that 5, you're messing with the foundation. So it's not just minor, it is now diminished. That is what makes the chord diminished. If 5th has been lowered, now you got a crazy wacky chord that you got to do. So augmented belongs in this same grouping for the same reason, because we're messing with that 5th again. So if we had F, A, C, F to A is 4 semitones, so that's a major 3rd. And if we go up to E, that would be a 5th. But if we move it up a semitone to C sharp, we have 4 more semitones, which means, well, it's not a major interval, even though it's those 4 semitones, but we're messing with that 5 in the chord. So that means that we've, instead of lowering it, like in the diminished chord, we push it up and it's been augmented. So that means that diminished and augmented chords are in a grouping of their own where you're either raising or lowering the 5th. So yeah, that would be the formula of 4/4. Diminished would have been 3/3. And we have our pretty keyboard. So that kind of goes to show you a bit about how you can really boil down all of the differences and things you might see in chord charts or music to really just these 4 types of chords. And it's that simple. I mean, anything else is extra. You have a 7 or a 9 or 11 or a sharp 5 or whatever. That doesn't always dictate what's going on. Usually you will have to identify if it is major or minor. If you know that it's major, you check that 7, because it could be a major 7 or it could be a dominant 7, a completely different type of chord. And the point of these 4 chord types is that when you see that, that's a really strong indicator of how you react to the chord. There are rules that come with that chord that will indicate how you behave with it, what you can do with it, or not do with it. I mean, music is crazy in that way. If you want to learn more about any of the topics discussed on today's episode, or if you'd like to expand your horizons so you can make the most amount of impact with your music, please be sure to check us out at mfile.ca.